Hi, I'm Patrick Alisi. My team and I did some research on small manufacturing companies in Pennsylvania, and we got some great feedback from companies, and we have a lot of information that we're excited to share with you, and we hope it helps in your startup. Here's a little background research on PA manufacturers that we did at the beginning of our project. So manufacturing accounts for about 9.5% of the workforce in Pennsylvania, totaling over 558,000 employees with 15,000 firms. It's a huge industry, and it accounted for $93.75 billion in 2018, and it accounts for 12% of Pennsylvania's total state output. Here are some of the top sectors in manufacturing. The sectors with the biggest outputs were chemical manufacturing, food, beverage, and tobacco products, as well as fabricated metal products. Here are some of the problems that we found in our research about Pennsylvania manufacturers. The first being the legacy equipment. A lot of these manufacturers struggle to collect data because their machinery is much too old, and a lot of the processes are manual versus automated, which makes it very difficult to collect data. Another problem is just their network traffic issues and IoT implementation. A lot of these manufacturers don't know how to implement data collection. They don't know what to do with their data. Problems like this are stopping them from using their data in a good way. Also, there's just an overall lack of IT experience in many of these manufacturers, which is holding them back from collecting and using data. Here's the main methodology that we use to contact the companies. Here's the sample email that we sent to a lot of the companies. So basically we started out just cold calling and sending emails, and then we found that sending the questions that we would ask on the phone calls in the initial email worked a lot better to get responses.
So after doing our initial background research, we were able to reach out to an abundance of companies, and we actually got responses from 4 of them who were actually willing to follow back up with John. And so we wanted to highlight some of the things we learned from these companies. The first company we talked to is McClanahan Corporation. They utilize an ERP system called Epicor that they use to collect some data. They're having some trouble managing it because it's just so user-friendly and complex, so much so that they actually had to hire a full-time employee to come fix these problems. Next, we talked to American Eagle Paper Company. This company actually has a lot of modern equipment they use in their mainstream processes that's equipped with sensors to record paper color, size, and detect defects. And this is all integrated into a system they call Historian, which they can use to look at the data in the future. They're having a lot of trouble integrating their old legacy equipment though, because it's auxiliary processes that require a lot of manual transportation of product, and they're very inefficient and old. Next, we talked to Omega Piezo Technologies. They utilize a Microsoft Access-based system to manage and record their data, and it's very complex, mostly because the person that designed it no longer works there, so they can't find someone that's able to run it efficiently. They keep a record by hand of how many parts fail at each step in their manufacturing process. There's no automation to this whatsoever, and there's a lot of room for human error, which was the main issue that they expressed to us. Finally, we talked to Otex, and they utilize, much like McClanahan Corporation, an ERP system called Macola, and they're suffering a lot of the same issues with overcomplexity and just a lack of a good user interface. They are looking for people to take on this problem, like McClanahan, but overall they're pretty satisfied with the state of their data collection in the manufacturing plant, but they still gave us some very useful data you can see in the report. So after sitting down and talking to these companies for a while, hearing the issues they had to tell us, my group and I were able to make some definitive conclusions and recommendations for you that you can use in your startup going into the future. We found that companies are very much aware of the need to transition to Industry 4.0, and a lot of them have made it a very much of a priority within their company. It's just that they're having problems making that final transition. We know this because several companies we talked to were ISO 9001 compliant, which means that they adhere to a set of standards in which they promise to advance their manufacturing processes into the future. Many are also beginning to implement IoT systems with their newer machines and collect data to make their processes more efficient. Companies are struggling with 3 really main issues based on what we talked to them about. One is integrating and retrofitting their legacy equipment with new data collection tech, and another is streamlining their convoluted ERP systems. These ERP systems are very much making it impossible for them to streamline their inventory management systems and their overall data collection as a whole. And we found that they want solutions that are very much affordable and justify the cost of the solutions. We found the companies were kind of hesitant to make an initial investment in data collection infrastructure because they thought that what they would get in return wouldn't be worth the monetary cost to them. So I guess the next question is, what's really the next step in all of this? Well, we found that there are a lot of diverse problems that small manufacturers are facing, and there's really not a one-size-fits-all solution to the problems. The proposed camera solution that you gave us at the beginning of this project, we found could work in some circumstances. For example, McClanahan Corporation is looking to record more data on their CNC machines. That could work in that situation. But for example, Otex, who's pretty happy with their data collection systems and just more wants to streamline them and streamline their ERP systems, it wouldn't be as useful to them. But overall, after this project, we think that there is a great opportunity in looking into helping companies optimize and customize their ERP systems and integrating their legacy data with IoT infrastructure. Based on what we talked about with the companies are hiring people on full-time to fix their ERP systems and do integration, and we believe that's a great opportunity for you to look into in the future.
Moving forward, we have a couple tips that we found effective that we would like to share with you when you continue to contact these companies. First, it was often ineffective to lead off with talking about data. It sounds a little suspicious when you're asking about their data, so instead just talk about their manufacturing process and they'll be much more comfortable and willing to talk about it. Also, companies prefer to be contacted by email. They want you to be very direct in what you want and who you want to talk to. So just do that and they will be much more willing to respond to you. We definitely recommend that you follow up with the companies directly that showed interest. They definitely are willing to talk to you and they want to hear what you have to say and what you can do for them. And thank you very much for this opportunity. I can say for myself, I learned a lot about market research, and I know my team did as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and we wish you the best in the future.